Good morning students. Let's see the continuity of boron family. Today we are going to discuss about diagonal relationship between boron and silicon. Let's see what is diagonal relationship. Okay. So if we consider 13th group elements, 13th group are called it is third A group elements, am I right? Okay. What are third A group elements here? Boron, aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium. These are third A group elements, am I right? What about 14th group elements? Here 14th group elements are fourth A group elements, we call it is. Okay. So 14th group elements are called as carbon and silicon, germanium, sternum and lead. These are called as 14th group elements. So now these boron and carbon belongs to second period in the periodic table. Second period in the periodic table. Okay, and these are belongs to aluminium and silicon belongs to third period in the periodic table. Okay, so now what is the diagonal relationship here? If you observe in these two groups, these are the groups, am I right? This is period. Okay, so now this is called diagonal. Draw the line between boron and silicon as diagonal. Okay, so this is called diagonal between boron and silicon. What we call it is? This is called diagonal arrangement of boron and silicon. Okay, boron and silicon. So what type of arrangement is there? Diagonal arrangement. Okay, so now here B means boron. What is the atomic number? 5. What about Si means here silicon. What is the atomic number of silicon here? 14. Okay. So due to diagonal relation, diagonal relation between boron and silicon, this shows resemble properties. Resemble properties means they show similar properties here nearly. Okay, so why boron and silicon shows resemble properties? Due to the diagonal arrangement. So boron belongs to second period and this is third period where silicon is there in the 14th group and here it is in third group. If we compare in this manner, this is clearly diagonal arrangement. Okay, remember this. So now go for some important properties regarding boron and silicon here. Important properties of boron and silicons. Both boron and silicon are non-metals. Clear? And both boron and silicon shows high melting point. High melting point. Here for boron melting point is nearly 2300 degrees Celsius and for silicon it is 1410 degrees Celsius. So that means they melt at high temperature clearly. Okay, and they have high ionization energies. They have high ionization. Ionization or ionization enthalpy both are same. Ionization potential, ionization energy both are same. Remember this. So they have high ionization energy due to small size. Due to small size of boron and silicon. Okay. Ionization energy of boron is equals 8.3 electron volt. EV means electron volt. It is one of the unit for ionization energy. And what about silicon? Ionization energy of silicon is nearly same, that is 8.2 electron volts, where EV means electron volts. Clear? And both boron and silicon shows similar density. Denotes with D here. Density means, what is the formula for density? Mass per unit volume is called as density, mass and volume. Okay, so here density of boron is 3.30 gram per milliliters, and for silicon it is 3.52 gram per milliliters. Clear? Boron and silicon compounds are clearly covalent compounds. So why these are covalent compounds? Due to small size of boron and silicon, they have high ionization energies. Am I right? So if ionization energy is more, they are unwilling to lose electron. Am I right? They unwillingly lose electrons. If more ionization energy is there, we are unable to remove the electron from the atom. That means unwilling to remove electrons from boron and silicon. Okay, boron and silicon. It's very difficult to remove the electrons due to high ionization energy. Why we should use ionization energy? To remove the electron from the atom. But due to their small size, it is very difficult to remove the electrons. Remember this point. Okay, and so they have covalent in nature. In that particular case, due to high ionization energy, boron and silicon compounds are covalent in nature, not in ionic in nature. Remember this. Okay, and boron and silicon unwilling to form cations readily. Like boron plus 3 and silicon plus 4. Okay. Boron has high ionization energy. Why? Because it is small size. Silicon also nearly same size. Okay. So these are unable to lose electrons electrons readily. Okay, clear? Why these are unable to lose electrons? These are positive charges are called here cations, am I right? These are called as cations. Cations means the species which possess positive charge. So these are containing positive charge. But here it is difficult to form these type of cations because of high ionization energy. These two are having high ionization energy or ionization potential. Ionization energy or ionization potential. So they are less willing to form these type of cations readily. So that is one of the reasons to form covalent compounds. What is covalent bond? Equal sharing of electrons. Already we discussed that in the previous classes. Boron and silicons in the presence of air. Air means here we consider oxygen, and undergoes heating. They form stable oxides. Stable oxides are B2O3 and SiO2, silicon dioxide and boric anhydride or boron trioxide. Okay, so these type of oxides are formed when boron and silicon interact with oxygen and undergoes heating. Okay, so these are stable oxides, and the nature of these two oxides are acidic in nature. Which nature? They are clearly in acidic nature. Okay. So some of the important reactions regarding B2O3. When boric anhydride interact with sodium hydroxide, which is clearly alkali or base, it gives so this is called sodium metaborate. Sodium metaborate. Okay, balance this equation. Here 2 borons clear, 2 sodium oxygen here, 2 plus 3 5, here 2 to the 4 plus 1 5. How many hydrogens here we have? 2 hydrogens and 2 hydrogens here. Okay. So now this base means this one clearly acid. Okay. So let us take one more equation regarding that. B2O3 treated with NaOH, which is called base, which produce sodium borate. What we call it is sodium borate. Here 6 hydrogen clear, 6 sodiums, 2 3 6 sodium clear, 2 borons, and how many oxygens? 9 oxygens here, 2 3 6 and 3 oxygen, clearly 9 oxygen clear. So sodium borate is generate. And what about silicon dioxide? Silicon dioxide when treated with sodium hydroxide, here it is also considered as acid, and this one is called as base or alkali. So what it gives? Sodium silicate. Sodium silicate and H2O. How many sodiums here we have? 2. Keep 2 here. 2 sodiums here. How many hydrogens? 2 hydrogens. 2 hydrogens here, 3 plus 1, 4 oxygens, and 2 oxygen 2 and 1 silicon, clear. So sodium silicate is generated in the case of silicon dioxide interact with sodium hydroxide. So these three reactions concluded that this boric anhydride and the silicon dioxide clearly acidic in nature, clearly acidic in nature. Okay students, and go for next one. Boron and silicons do not form hydrides directly with hydrogen, but they form number of hydrides which are covalent bonds, and covalent compounds. Hydrides means boron and silicons with hydrogens. So they do not form directly with hydrogens. Hydrides means boron and silicon with hydrogens. Those are called as hydrides. Okay. So the formed hydrides are clearly covalent compounds. Remember this. And boron interact with metals. Magnesium is a metal or not? Metal. Here what about this boron? It is clearly non-metal. Already we discussed about this. Okay. And it gives magnesium boride. So when boron interact with metal, it gives borides. Borides, what we call it is magnesium boride. Okay, very important one. Magnesium boride it gives. So balance this equation, 3 magnesium and 2 borons. Okay. Now here oxidation states of boron in Mg3b2. So here we need to calculate oxidation state of boron, am I right? How many borons here we have? 2 borons. So taken as 2x. How many magnesium here we have? 3. Each magnesium generally process plus 2 oxidation state. What is the charge on magnesium? Plus 2. How many magnesium atoms are in this compound? 3. So 3 magnesium, each magnesium process plus 2 charge. Then that is equals to 0. Why it is equals to 0? The net charge of the molecule is 0. That means is there any negative positive ions here? No. That means the net charge equals to 0. So now 2x plus 6 equals 0, then 2x equals to minus 6, then x equals to how much? Clearly minus 3. But generally boron exhibit plus 3 oxidation states, am I right? Plus 3. But in the case of borides like magnesium borides, it shows negative oxidation state, am I right? So therefore oxidation state of boron in borides like magnesium boride is minus 3. Remember this. Okay. Generally it exhibits plus 3. And next one, when silicon interact with magnesium, it is also called as non-metal. Clear? This is metal here. We call it is silicide. Name of this one is magnesium silicide. Where borides it gives magnesium silicide. We call it is borates. and borides. This is boride and this one is silicide. Okay, balance this equation, 2 magnesiums here, and calculate, write the question, calculate oxidation state of magnesium in magnesium silicide. Write the answer here. Here we have to calculate oxidation state of silicon in Mg2Si. How many silicons here we have? Only one, taken as X. How many magnesium? 2. So each magnesium process plus 2. That is equals 0. Then X plus 4 is equals 0. X equals to how much? Minus 4. Clear? Therefore, for magnesium, what is the charge? Plus 2. Okay, clear? Therefore, oxidation state of silicon in Mg2Si is minus 4. But generally silicon shows plus 4 in its compounds, but in the case of magnesium silicide or in the silicides compounds, it shows minus negative state. Like boron, here it is minus 3. Remember, these two are special. Generally silicon exhibit plus 4 in these compounds, but here it is shows minus. And next, see, very important, boron trichloride interaction with, name of this one is lithium aluminium hydride. So which gives lithium chloride and aluminium trichloride, and it produces B2H6 okay. So what about this one? This is the main important compound here. B2H6 means when boron trichloride with lithium aluminum hydride, it gives boranes. Okay. So what about this one? B2H6 means, B2H6, already we discussed about this. It is called diborane. It is an electron deficient compound or hydride. Electron deficient compounds. Okay. So boranes are electron deficient compounds. Okay. So diborane is a electron deficient compound. Already we discussed about that. Here we know an important compound here, that is lithium aluminum hydride. Remember this, which is called strong reducing agent. What is meant by reducing agent? Reducing agent means it helps to reduction by itself undergoes oxidization. Okay. So here in this case, it provide hydrogens to other compounds. Okay. So gain of hydrogen is called reduction. Am I right? So if you observe here boron trichloride, there is no hydrogen. Am I right? When compare here in this compound, boron gain hydrogen. Am I right? That means these lithium hydride supply hydrogen to this boron. then chlorine is eliminated and this boron gain the hydrogen. So boron trichloride undergoes reduction. Why it is undergoes reduction? It gain the hydrogens from lithium aluminum hydrides. So it provide hydrogens. Then it undergoes reduction. Here boron trichloride undergoes reduction. Am I right? So why it is undergoes reduction? So lithium aluminum hydride, which is called as strong reducing agent. Reducing agent means it's provide the hydrogen to other compounds. Now this boron trichloride accept this hydrogen and converted as diboron B2H6. So if we compare these two compounds, so here boron gained some hydrogen, so it undergoes reduction. So here this lithium aluminum hydride helps to reduction of boron trichloride. Am I right? Clear? So loss of hydrogen. In this manner, lithium aluminum hydride loss of hydrogen. Am I right? So here it is undergoes oxidation. Loss of hydrogen means oxidation. Remember this. Now here boron trichloride clearly undergoes reduction. So how it is undergoes reduction? By help of lithium aluminum hydride. So it is called as reducing agent. Remember this point. Okay. The same manner here, silicon tetrachloride with the lithium aluminum hydrides, it produces lithium chloride and aluminum trichloride and SiH4, silicon hydride, or we call it is silanes. Silicon hydrides are silanes. Okay. So this compound is called as electron deficient, B2H6 electron deficient compound, but here it is saturated compounds. SiH4 is saturated, means it can able to 4 bonds around it clearly. Okay, clear? So how many hydrogens around silicon here? 4. Silicon can able to form 4 bonds like carbon. Okay, so these silicon clearly form 4 bonds. So let's see, silicon with 4 hydrogens. So bond means 2 electrons, am I right? 2 electrons. Totally how many electrons are around silicon here in this molecule? 8 electrons. 8 electrons. 8 electron means it follows the octet rule, am I right? Octet rule. Octet rule means the molecule gets stability. So the molecule is clearly in stable. Clear? Stable. So it is saturated compound. The molecule which is stable, is it exactly saturated? But in this case of diboron, it is electron deficient compound. It is abnormal. It forms abnormal BHB bridged bonds. Already we discussed about that 1C B2H6 concept. Okay. Clear, mark 2? So here also lithium aluminum hydride act as reducing agent. And boron trichloride interaction with water, it gives orthoboric acid. What we call it is H3BO3 means orthoboric acid. Addition of water is called as hydrolyzed here. Addition of water to this compound is called as hydrolysis or hydrolyzed here. Remember this. So orthoboric acid is generated. Let balance this equation: 3 hydrogens, 6 hydrogens, 3 to just 6, 3 oxygens, 3 chlorine, 3 chlorine, and 1 boron, 3 oxygen, 3 oxygen. Clear? And what about silicon tetrachloride undergoes hydrolysis. So this compound is called as Okay, silicic acid, this is silicon, silicic acid H4SiO4, and balance this here we have 4 hydrogens and 4 8, 4 2 are 8 hydrogens, 4 oxygens here, 4 oxygens here. How many chlorines? 4 chlorines. What about here? 4 chlorine, 1 silicon and 1 silicon. Clear? So these compounds are generated by the hydrolysis of halides. These compounds consist of halides, am I right? Halogens. Chlorine is a halogens. Remember this. Orthoboric acid when interact with ethyl alcohol C2H5 OH. OH is there. This is called as ethyl alcohol or ethanol. Okay, both are same. And it is called as orthoboric acid. Orthoboric acid, clear mark 2. And treated with in the presence of H2SO4. H2SO4 means sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid. Clear? Sulfuric acid. So in this case it gives this one is called as C2H5 group is called as ethyl group. Note it here. C2H5 group is called as ethyl group. We can also represent this simply like this. Okay. But CH3 means it is methyl group. Methyl group. We can represent this simply Me. Okay. So now name of this compound is how many methyl group? Ethyl groups here 3. So triethyl borate. Triethyl borate. Simply TEB. Triethyl borate is produced. Remember this. And what about silicic acid H4SiO4 interact with ethyl alcohol, okay, in the presence of acid, this is called, how many ethyl groups here? 4. 4 means tetra. Yes, tetraethyl silicate. It produces silicates, okay, it produces borates. Clear? In this reaction it produces borate. These compounds are called as esters. Remember this, esters. It is also esters. Okay. Note here, important one. Qualitative analysis of triethyl borate. How can we identify triethyl borate? So we have a flame test here. Flame test. So that is vapors of triethyl borate burns with it produces green edged edged flame. Okay. So suppose the vapors of this triethyl borate undergoes burning, it produces green color flame. So that is identification of triethyl borate. That is called as qualitative analysis. That means if vapors are there, it undergoes burning. Suppose it gives a green color flame, that means that vapors consist triethyl borate. That is called as qualitative analysis. Qualitative means what is present in the compound. What is present in the compound. Okay. So that vapor consists triethyl borate. So these compounds are called as ethers, esters. Remember this. The next one is boron, boron trifluoride, simple fluoride, boron with fluoride. Okay, simple fluoride we call it is simple fluorides. With hydrogen fluoride, it gives HbF4. HbF4. Balance this equation. One hydrogen, how many fluorines? Fluorine, one boron. Okay. So name of this one is called, write the square bracket only. Like this only. Don't write this parenthesis. This is wrong here. You should need to mention square bracket. Okay. So name of this compound is tetrafluoro boric acid. Okay. And next one is silicon tetrafluoride interact with hydrogen fluoride. These are simple fluorides, both are. It gives, okay. So name of this compound is hexafluoro silicic acid. Hexafluorosilicic acid. Okay. So these two are called as complex halides. Complex halides. Halides means it consists of halogen. What is halogen here? Fluorine. So this square bracket represents means complex compounds. Complex compounds. Okay. Complex halides. These are simple halides. Okay. Remember this. Balance this equation. Here 2 hydrogens, 2 fluorines, and here 6 fluorines. Okay. Clear mark 2. And boron interact with sodium hydroxide So balance this equation here. How many hydrogens here? 6 hydrogens. Okay. Here how many? 6 sodiums. 6 hydrogens here. And here Na3BO3 sodium borate. Sodium borate. And here 2 3 ja 6 sodium and 6 sodiums, and 2 borons here. We have 2 borons here, 6 hydrogen, 6 hydrogen, 6 oxygen, 2 3 ja 6 clear. Sodium borate is formed. Here major important thing is hydrogen gas is released. Hydrogen gas. This upward arrow means gas is evolved from the reaction. So this boron is non-metal here. non-metals. Okay. And what about silicon? When silicon interact with NaOH, okay, so it produce, in the presence of water, it produce sodium silicate. Okay, balance this equation. How many sodiums here? We have to keep 2 here. Now check it. 2 sodiums, and 2 hydrogen, 4 hydrogens. What about this one? 4 hydrogens and oxygen. Here it is 2 oxygens, and this one is 3. Here it is 3 oxygens. Okay. And the next one is silicons and boron, both are bad electrical conductors at normal temperature. That is, at low temperature they doesn't allow the electricity through them. They are bad electrical conductors. But at high temperature they conduct electricity, and we call semiconductors. Remember this word. Semiconductors means they act as semiconductors at high temperature, means their conductivity is increases. At high temperature, the conductivity of, or the conductance of boron and silicon increases by heating, but at high temperature. Okay, so semiconductors means they allow the electricity very quantity, very less quantity of electricity pass through the semiconductors. So why they act as conductors at high temperature? Okay, so the electrons are very freely moving in the case of semiconductors. Okay, so we have special topic in second year, we'll discuss that. Okay, so listen, at high temperature boron and silicons conduct electricity, and they are semiconductors. Remember this word. So mild electrical conductors are called as semiconductors. Here remember this. Okay, the last one is very important, this one. When B2O3 boron hydroxide interact with carbon, it gives boron carbides and carbon monoxide. Seven carbons here, clear? 7 carbons. Here 2, okay, 2 to the 4 borons here and 4 borons here, okay, and here it is 6 oxygen, 2 3 are 6, 7 carbons here, 6 carbons, and this is 1 carbon, 7 carbons. Okay, this is called boron carbide. Okay, remember this. And what about silicon dioxide? In the same manner, it is interact with carbon, it produce silicon carbide and also carbon monoxide. So here, how many carbons? 2 carbons and 1 carbon, 3 carbons, 1 silicon and 1 silicon, here 2 oxygen and 2 oxygen, both are balanced here. So this is silicon carbide silicon carbide. Another name of this one is corundum. Another name of silicon carbide is corundum. So very important bit also. What we call it is corundum. Okay. Silicon carbide, another name is corundum. It is very strong like diamond. Diamond is very strong, you know. In the same manner, this silicon carbide is also very strong, act as diamond and not. So silica carbide or corundum used for cutting purpose and we call it is abrasive. Abrasive means a rough material can be polished by these silica carbide. So diamond also having these properties. By using diamond we cut the rock, and also abrasive means suppose if any material like rough surfaces, by using this silica carbide it is very strong, we can rough this smooth or polishing. Abrasive means simply polishing or smoothing the surface of any materials. Okay, so silica carbide is also called as simply nothing but of diamond, very hard. Okay, and by using this silica carbide we can cut some rock materials, very strong materials, and abrasive nature it has, that means polishing of surfaces by using silica carbide. So why these boron and silicon show similar properties, like resemble properties? So due to the diagonal arrangement of boron and silicon. Okay students, again we will meet on tomorrow. Thank you very much.